The rise and reign of Alexander the Great. Conquest, brilliance, and a legacy that changed the world. Yo, History Squad! Get ready to dive into one of the most epic sagas of all time. We're traveling back to the 4th century BC, when a young Macedonian prince set out to conquer the world and forever change history. Alexander the Great wasn't just a ruler, he was a force of nature, a military genius who blazed a trail of glory and left an indelible mark on every land he touched. Yo, History Squad! Imagine a young Alexander growing up in the rugged hills of Macedonia, surrounded by legends and the promise of greatness. Born in 356 BC to King Philip II and Queen Olympias, Alexander was destined for something beyond the ordinary. His mother, a woman of fierce passion and mystical beliefs, instilled in him the idea that he was no mere mortal, that he was touched by the gods themselves. And boy, did he live up to that divine claim. From the start, Alexander was schooled by the best. He studied under none other than Aristotle, soaking up wisdom on philosophy, science, medicine, and the arts. Picture this: a bright young lad, eager to learn, scribbling notes as he learns about the stars, the nature of man, and the secrets of the universe. But this wasn't just about book smarts. Alexander was also trained in the art of war, riding horses, wielding swords, and strategizing battles like a born tactician. At just 16, Alexander was already proving his mettle in the field, leading daring raids and showing off his fearless spirit. When his father, King Philip, set the stage for Macedonian dominance by uniting Greece, young Alexander was right there in the mix, learning, observing, and preparing to one day step into the spotlight himself. And when Philip was tragically assassinated in 336 BC, Alexander, only 20 years old, inherited not just a kingdom, but the weighty responsibility of fulfilling a destiny that was written in the stars. Yo, History Squad! With the weight of an empire on his young shoulders, Alexander set out on a campaign that would shake the very foundations of the ancient world. His first major target? The mighty Persian Empire, the largest and richest empire of the era, ruled by King Darius III. Most would have quivered at the thought of challenging such a behemoth, but not Alexander. His ambition burned as fiercely as the fires of Olympus, and his determination was unyielding. In 334 BC, Alexander crossed the Hellespont, embarking on a journey that would take him across the vast, rugged terrains of Asia Minor. His army, though relatively small compared to the Persian host, was battle-hardened, disciplined, and inspired by the audacity of their leader. Alexander's tactics were as revolutionary as they were daring. He combined the might of his phalanx with the speed of his cavalry to execute maneuvers that left his enemies reeling. The first clash at the Battle of Granicus was a masterclass in strategic brilliance. Picture a storm of dust, clashing shields, and the relentless roar of warriors. Alexander led a ferocious charge right through the Persian ranks, breaking through defenses that had once seemed impregnable. The Persian generals, caught off guard by his boldness, could only watch as their soldiers were swept aside like leaves in the wind. This wasn't just a battle, it was the opening salvo of a campaign that would redefine empires. Yo, History Squad! Fast forward to 333 BC, and we find Alexander facing off against Darius III himself at the Battle of Issus. This wasn't just a confrontation between armies, it was a clash of titans, a duel of destinies. Darius, confident in his massive force and regal splendor, prepared for what he assumed would be an easy victory. He gathered an army that outnumbered Alexander's by a staggering margin, complete with war elephants, chariots, and an array of Persian firepower. But Alexander was not one to be intimidated. With his trademark mix of cunning and courage, he led his troops into battle with a plan that was as audacious as it was brilliant. Precision phalanx attacks. Alexander's phalanx moved like a single, unstoppable unit, dense, disciplined, and deadly. Rapid cavalry flanking. His elite companion cavalry charged from the sides, targeting the vulnerable flanks of the Persian formation. Psychological warfare. Alexander's bold presence on the battlefield, riding at the front like a demigod, demoralized the enemy and instilled fear in even the bravest Persian soldiers. As the battle raged on, chaos enveloped Darius's forces. Some Persian generals, disillusioned and terrified, began to question their loyalties. In the heat of battle, with the Persian line breaking and the mighty king forced to retreat in panic, Alexander seized the opportunity. The the tide had turned, and the once mighty Persian army was forced into a retreat that would echo through history as a moment of unparalleled triumph for the young conqueror. Yo, History Squad! Fresh off his victories against the Persians, Alexander wasn't about to let his momentum slow down. His next challenge was Tyre, a fortified island city that stood as a bastion of resistance. This wasn't just any city. Tyre was a masterpiece of engineering and defense, surrounded by water and heavily fortified with walls that seemed impenetrable. But Alexander was known for his ingenious tactics. To conquer Tyre, Alexander ordered the construction of a massive causeway, a bridge built from rubble and siege engines that reached out to the island from the mainland. Imagine the relentless pounding of construction, the dust swirling in the air, and soldiers laboring day and night under Alexander's watchful eye. For 7 long months, the siege continued. The Tyrians fought valiantly, but Alexander's determination was as unyielding as the waves crashing against the shore. When the walls finally crumbled, Tyre fell, and Alexander's reputation soared even higher. But his conquests didn't stop there. With Tyre behind him, he marched into Egypt, a land steeped in ancient mystery and wonder. The Egyptians, long accustomed to pharaohs and gods, greeted Alexander with awe and reverence. They saw in him a liberator who would restore order and bring prosperity. In a historic moment of cultural fusion, Alexander was even declared a pharaoh, and he established the city of Alexandria, a vibrant metropolis that would become a center of learning and trade for centuries to come. Yo, History Squad! With the Persian Empire shattered and Egypt secured, Alexander's ambition led him further east, to the vast and enigmatic lands of India. It was 327 BC, and the young conqueror was determined to extend his empire to the very edges of the known world. But this campaign would test even his legendary resolve. Crossing treacherous terrain, battling monsoons, and facing unfamiliar customs, Alexander and his men marched into India. The battlefield here was unlike any other. The Indian armies, led by formidable kings like Porus, brought a new challenge to the Macedonian phalanx. War elephants, towering and terrifying, charged into battle, causing chaos and panic among Alexander's troops. But Alexander was nothing if not adaptable. With a combination of innovative tactics and sheer determination, he managed to outmaneuver the Indian forces. At the Battle of the Hydaspes, he lured Porus into a trap by using the terrain to his advantage, forcing the enemy to fight in the murky waters of a river, where their elephants became liabilities rather than assets. The battle was fierce, and Alexander's men suffered heavy casualties, yet victory was ultimately theirs. The defeated Porus, impressed by Alexander's valor and wisdom, was allowed to retain his throne as a subordinate ally, a testament to Alexander's pragmatic approach to governance. Despite his successes, the Indian campaign also exposed the limits of his empire. After years of relentless marching, his exhausted troops, weary from endless battles and the harsh conditions, mutinied. Alexander was forced to turn back, marking the easternmost point of his conquests. It was a bittersweet moment. While he had pushed the boundaries of the known world, he also faced the stark reality that even the greatest conquerors have limits. Yo, History Squad! As Alexander's armies retraced their steps back through the heart of his vast empire, the euphoria of conquest was tempered by an ominous sense of decline. Alexander, though triumphant, was also grappling with the immense burden of his ambitions. His body, ravaged by wounds and the toll of constant battles, began to falter. Rumors swirled of feuds among his generals, and the seeds of division were sown even as he dreamed of further conquests. In 323 BC, in the opulent palace of Babylon, a city that epitomized the splendor of the ancient world, Alexander fell gravely ill. The cause of his sudden illness remains shrouded in mystery. Some whisper of poisoning, while others point to natural causes exacerbated by exhaustion and relentless warfare. Whatever the reason, within a matter of days, the indomitable conqueror was gone. Alexander the Great, the man who had reshaped the map of the world, passed away at the young age of 32. His death sent shockwaves throughout his empire. Without a clear successor, his generals, infamously known as the Diadochi, began a power struggle that would eventually fracture the vast territories he had once united. The dream of a single, eternal empire faded into legend, replaced by the bitter reality of division and conflict. Yo, History Squad! Even though Alexander's life was cut tragically short, his impact on the world has endured for millennia. His conquests spread Greek culture far and wide, igniting what historians now call the Hellenistic Age. This era was marked by a fusion of Greek, Egyptian, Persian, and Indian influences. A melting pot revolutionized art, science, philosophy, and politics. Cities like Alexandria in Egypt became vibrant centers of knowledge, where libraries and academies thrived, drawing scholars from every corner of the known world. Greek became the lingua franca of commerce and intellectual exchange, and the ideas born during this time continue to shape modern thought. From the realms of philosophy to the breakthroughs in astronomy and medicine, the legacy of Alexander's empire is woven into the fabric of Western civilization. But his influence wasn't confined to culture and academia. Alexander's military tactics are still studied in war colleges around the globe. His innovative strategies, ranging from the use of the phalanx to complex battlefield maneuvers, set the standard for military excellence for centuries to come. Generals and strategists continue to analyze his campaigns, drawing lessons from his audacity, his brilliance, and his ability to inspire unwavering loyalty in his troops. The legend of Alexander the Great has grown over the centuries, transforming him from a historical figure into a mythic icon. Countless works of literature, art, and cinema have been inspired by his life, each retelling adding another layer to the man who seemed destined for greatness. His story is one of ambition, triumph, and inevitable tragedy, a reminder that even the most brilliant flame can burn out too soon. Yo, History Squad! That right there is the epic saga of Alexander the Great, a journey that took him from a promising youth in Macedonia to the farthest reaches of the known world. We've witnessed his rise as a prodigy, his audacious conquests that toppled empires, and his brilliant yet short-lived reign that forever altered the course of history. From the daring battles at Granicus and Issus, to the ingenious siege of Tyre and the grueling march into India, Alexander's life was a whirlwind of glory, strategy, and relentless ambition. His legacy is a testament to the power of vision, the importance of cultural fusion, and the enduring impact of one man's dream to change the world. But here's the kicker. While his conquests forged a new era of cultural and intellectual achievement, his untimely death also set in motion a series of events that would eventually splinter his empire and usher in an age of turmoil among his successors. So, History Squad, as we wrap up this deep dive into the life of Alexander the Great, remember that his story is more than just battles and victories. It's a saga of inspiration, innovation, and the eternal quest for greatness. His legacy continues to influence the world today, reminding us that even the briefest of lives can spark revolutions and ignite the flames of progress. Stay locked in, History Squad, because every time you hear the name Alexander the Great, you're not just remembering a conqueror, but a visionary who dared to dream beyond the horizon. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and as always, stay curious.